What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to another video. Today, we are talking about the dreaded charter system. We're talking about the charter system as a whole. As you can tell by the title, the charter system needs to go. I despise the charter system. I think the charter system is arguably one of the biggest gimmicks in NASCAR that we currently have at the moment. So let me give you a background on the charter system currently. So in 2015, Rob Kaufman, who was part of the Michael Waltrip racing team, basically tried to find a way, a get out of jail free card after bringing up the whole situation and having that problem arise after we had the spin gate happen in 2013 and Brian Vickers come down pit road. So he basically implemented a plan, and NASCAR backed up him and his racing team alliance where 36 teams were insured to make the NASCAR races on a week-to-week basis, and we would have only 40 cars generally in a NASCAR race. So 4 teams would be open cars, and then you have other guys trying to qualify, and there would be open teams, and 36 teams would end up coming in to the sport. And it's been creating a lot of problems in our sport. Now, first, let's talk about all the argument about the new teams. Well, Daniel, isn't a charter system bringing new teams generally into the sport? Yes and no in a sense. I personally believe that the charter system has caused more problems than solutions in our sport. Yes, you are getting new teams in the sport. 23XI Racing, Live Fast Racing, and Trackhouse Racing are showing up to the track on a week-to-week basis. But what you don't realize is that for these teams to be competitive and have somewhat of funding to make sure they make every single race, they have to have a charter to make sure they make every race. Because it was announced recently that none of the open charter teams are going to be making any of the money they get. Originally, before this upcoming season, they got $18,000 per race, and they would get $650,000 per year for showing up to the races. Basically, the charter teams got 4 times the money than the unchartered teams. They got like $72,000 regularly just for the purse money to show up to the race compared to the smaller teams that were open teams. They would only get $18,000. That $650,000 is gone. They're not getting the $650,000 anymore, which that could be for them to upgrade the cars, become a better organization. So what I'm really afraid of at the moment, too, is that you're going to see a lot of races next year in 2020. Apologize for the blurry light in the background. There's nothing I can really do about that. But what I'm really afraid of is, I'm afraid that you're going to have a lot of races next year where you're going to end up seeing only 36 cars, all the charter cars. You really only end up seeing the 36 charter cars show up to the races next year. Now, of course, the Daytona 500 and a few other races like Talladega and some of the road course races, some of the new tracks, you'll probably see some of these teams, but I'm afraid a lot of races next year, you're only going to end up seeing 36 cars on the track, and that 100% really isn't healthy for the sport. Yes, I know that these teams, granted, are arguably always going to make the races, but that becomes a problem where you want a healthy field and you want to have as many people trying to get into the races. In my personal opinion, if you want to keep the charter system, any team that wants to attempt to run full-time into a season, I think that every single team that wants to race full-time, so there should be 40 charters. Every team wants to race gets a charter. If you want to because now you'll have this problem where you're not going to have any new teams show up, and the only way for these new teams to get in is they have to have a charter. You want to know why there's more value into these teams and why there's more value into these charters? It's because the teams have had to shut down. I thought the charter system was supposed to prevent that, by the way. I thought the charter system was supposed to prevent that. Because the only way 23XI got into the sport was they had to get the charter from Germain Racing. The only way Live Fast Motorsports got him was because Go Fast Racing scaled back and sold their charter, and Joe Falk went over with Matt Tiff, BJ McLeod to Live Fast Racing. And Live Fast Motorsports, by the way. And the other team, Trackhouse Racing, had to get the charter, from my knowledge, from Levine Family Racing. So, well, actually, they kind of had to get the charter from Spire Motorsports. Spire took over one of the charters from Levine Family Racing. So technically, Spire's got 3 charters next year, though it's being loaned out to Trackhouse Racing in 2021. So that's a big problem. Now, hopefully, the next-gen car will fix some of the problems with this, where these teams are not going to rely on charters, because really right now, with them taking all that purse money away, that causes more and more problems than solutions. on that front. But I just think in general, the charter system, one of the biggest gimmicks in our sport, stupidest things that's ever come into our sport. And like I said, I'm generally afraid that, we're going to have less races with 40 cars. And I'm afraid that in the future, if NASCAR keeps the charter system, that there are going to be more of these amplifying problems. And this is also causes the slow car problem. None of these teams that don't have charters, by the way, the only time it really kind of saw this become not a problem was when Ryan Blaney was somewhat competitive. But the slow car problem has really, really amplified, especially with MBM that doesn't have a charter and Gone Brothers Racing that doesn't have a charter. The fact that they don't have a charter, they're not able to be competitive, though we saw kind of Gone Brothers Racing be a little bit competitive, though they weren't really fast. They were not really that fast, and that was a major, major problem with that organization in 2021. But the reason that some of these teams are like 10 miles, 20 miles an hour off the pace is because that, though I will say that Rick Rowe Racing is another team that has a lot of problems. By the way, Rick Rowe Racing, they should not have a charter. They've caused so many problems. I mean, they had issues at Las Vegas where they were really, really off the pace in 2019, and Kyle Busch got really mad at Garrett Smithley and Joey Gase, and that's a slow car problem right there. And you also have the issue, at Bristol where Joey Gase basically, brake checked and kind of caused William Byron to wreck, and Christopher Bell, I think, ran into the back of him, or William Byron ran into the back of Christopher Bell. It wasn't Christopher Bell's fault. You can arguably blame Rick Ware Racing. So, in my personal opinion, if you really want to keep the charter system, get rid of it for Rick Ware Racing and give it to a team that really deserves more, like College Racing. College Racing, they're going to have to get a charter from somebody, so team has to shut down. And that same thing goes for 23XI Racing. They want to, in the future, expand to like a 2-car operation, 3-car operation, and 4-car operation. Well, with that in mind, you come into a problem now where if they want to expand, you're going to have 2 or 3 teams shut down. So think of like Front Row Motorsports, think of Premium Motorsports, think of Rick Ware Racing. All the teams have to shut down for them to expand. So that's why I personally think the charter system needs to go, and I think the charter system is arguably one of the stupidest things that has ever happened in our sport, and hopefully in the future it goes away. And I really thought in 2020, when they were going negotiations, they were going to get rid of that. I guess I was wrong because we still have the charter system now, and I think it is one of the biggest gimmicks and really, really stupid, and we should not have it in our sport. So, anyway, that is going to be for today's NASCAR video, and different video on the channel, by the way. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, turn notifications so you be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, links description below for that, and comment your thoughts on today's video. Do you believe that the charter system needs to go in NASCAR or not? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you do like this video so you can recommend these videos out to you guys. If you do that, I really appreciate it. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.